And now even he helps me with the mortise, pack my truck and all that. So it takes sometimes it takes an experience to make you realize the power of Ganesh. Now, who's been to India in this group? Okay. Now when you go to India, do you find Indians referring to Ganesh, Shiva, etc. as archetypes? No. They would say they are real. What are you talking about? And growing up in India, I was exposed to this, but it wasn't cool, when you grow up in a big city like Mumbai. So I kind of said, hey, I'm a healthy skeptic. It's just mythologies and maybe archetypes. It's not that interesting. And then I came here and I slowly got into it, and I would still refer to them as archetypes. But when you visit India, the Indians would say these are real. They live, actually. Ganesh, Shiva, Lakshmi, etc. And I had a hard time reconciling both. And Deepak was the one who told me about this. There is a place in southern India called Vaiteswaran Koil where they hold Nadi scrolls, which relate everyone's lives in the universe. Anyone familiar with Nadi scrolls? Okay, you're from South India. And then the Uru. Madurai, okay. Nan Palagad. So anyway, we speak Tamil, yeah? He's from South India, Madurai. These are like Akashic records. And Deepak told me about it. And the story behind this is 5,000 years ago, Shiva and his wife Shakti had a conversation about everyone's lives in the universe. And Shakti would ask a question to Shiva. For instance, Shakti would ask, when did Rachel come to Manoj's talk? And Shiva would say she came 10 minutes late, but she has to leave early for an appointment at 2. Okay, Rachel's staying. And Shiva would say that, her appointment got maybe pushed back. And so on and so forth. It seemed like everyone's lives in the universe was recorded. And who is the writer? Ganesh. He's the god of writers. Remember the broken tusk. Many writers, they pray to Ganesh. Musicians, he removes blocks. And he wrote on these palm leaves about everyone's lives. And these were exposed to 7 sages who were enlightened beings 5,000 years ago. And it's almost like everyone's life was like one big picture. So when you go close to a picture, you see a little bit, but when you take an overall view, you get everything. So in that state, there is no time and space, in the state of enlightenment. And these scrolls were available to these 7 sages, who then kept passing it down over the years and years. And the British got hold of them at one point because it had many Ayurvedic secrets. And right now, these are available in the hands of some families in South India, in the state of Tamil Nadu, in a little village called Vaiteswaran Koil. And I kind of knew about them, but I thought maybe there's nothing there. But in my next pilgrimage to India, I was visiting temples. When you go to visit India, you rent a car. And when you rent a car, you don't drive. It comes with a driver. Because there are no lanes in India. You don't want to drive. You just make your own lane. You make it up as you go along. And you share the road with cows and all other beings. Yeah? It's pretty much, everyone has a right of way there. Now, so the driver is driving the car. I'm like under jet lag. I'm like taking naps, waking up, and going to temples. And suddenly I see a fork in the road which said Vaiteswaran Koil. And I remembered, I told my driver, hey, go for it. And we arrived late into the town. And I went to the Nadi center, we scoped where it is. And we go to a hotel. There's only one hotel in town. It was a village really. And next day, bright and early, I go to the center. And they take my right thumbprint. For women, it's the left. And based on the thumbprint, there are 108 possibilities. And so the guy then, he went to the warehouse in the back and he pulled out a bundle of scrolls. And he came and then All you have to do is answer the question yes or no. Anything posted in the scroll. You're not supposed to reveal anything. So the guy would, open a scroll, he would chant a mantra, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe, etc. and then say, is your name Prakash? I said no. He would toss the scroll, bring out another one. Were you born 10 June 1950? I said no. Another scroll. And do you have two sisters? No. And it kept going on, and the bundle would get over, and he would go in the back to the warehouse and take a long time, because everything takes a long time in India. Come back and do the whole thing. And it kept going on, like for a couple of hours. And I was like beginning to give up. All of a sudden a scroll popped up. He said, your name is Manoj Chalam. I was right on. But I thought they got it from the hotel I stayed last time. Indians are pretty smart. The next question was, you were born 12th May 1962. Now, there is no way anyone had that information. That kind of started to give me chills. Then it said, your mother's name is Rajalakshmi. Right on. Your father's name is Venkatachalam. Correct. Your wife's name means someone which means light. And my wife's name is Jyoti, which means light. And it said my daughter's age. At that time, she was 8. Now she's 17, ready for college. And it said I did like Ayu research for my education. Yeah, I was researching food. And then it said I live overseas and I import art of a spiritual nature. And that kind of shocked me, because it told you it is time sensitive. A few years earlier, I was in high tech. I was a CEO of a software company. And I got, I had like 100 people under me. And fortunately, I got fired by my angel investor. That's how I ended up with Ganesh. Yeah? But it knew when I was coming. It tells you it is time sensitive. It knew when I was coming, because it told me my itinerary for the next 2 days, that I was going to this temple, that temple. And then it said I recently started to teach, which I did about 8 years ago. That was with the Chopra Center. And it then stepped forward every 3 years of my life and said what has already happened. Things like, my health, how my teachings would progress. And it also said we will build a temple. And, we have a warehouse in San Diego with all the statues, all the big statues you see in Wanderlust. I shipped them from San Diego. And last year, we actually moved our warehouse to a larger location, because we actually built a nice temple inside. So we could teach them, my wife and I. And we have many people teaching workshops there, Swamis visiting us. And my wife reminded me, hey, isn't that what the scrolls told you? Everything is coming like right on. And finally, it talked about everything in my life. It said things like, where my daughter would get educated. There she is. That's a picture photo. Janita. And it kept going forward, and finally the guy said, hey, do you want to know the time you're going to pass away? By that time I was like rocking and rolling. I want to know everything, I mean, the whole thing was like fascinating. I was like curious. So he told me the day. I mean, it's on Friday. It's at the end of the last week of April. And it's comfortably far away. I was so flabbergasted by the whole experience. I felt like going out and standing in front of a truck and seeing what's going to happen. You read in the spiritual literature, you are not your body. At that time, I just knew, hey. And not only that, I knew that these deities are real. They are not mythologies, I mean, there's a deep truth here. They live on another universe. Okay? They live here. We don't have the sight. You see your cell phone signals. You don't. You don't see. There are many things which are far beyond our five senses. Okay? It totally gave me a different perspective. Now, it's not a big secret. If you Google Nadi Scrolls, you'll find like 4,000, 5,000 hits. And you can be of any nationality. Many Americans, Chinese, Japanese, French have gotten their scrolls. Their names have been in French. So the question can be asked, since there are like 6.5 billion people on the planet, are there 6.5 billion scrolls? No. It's only those people who are destined to go there. So tell me your name. Zani? Zani. So the fact you're listening to me, Zani, might mean you might go and get your scroll one day. So it is like a feedback loop. It knows when you're coming. And only those people who are destined to go there, they get their scroll. But that is a direct evidence that these come from Ganesh, Shiva, Shakti, etc. And then I started to get deeper in the teachings. I had my last beer that day, no meat, nothing, and started to, hey, try to live the teachings. There's some deep truths here. So let me jump to Shiva. Any questions so far? Yes? Why is he an elephant? Long story. MC Yogi